Welcome back, everyone, to our daily inspiration. It's always a joy to be with you. We've titled today's installment, Always Use Your Influence for Good. See, power, position, and prosperity of any kind, we must realize, are all assignments from God. Use them honorably and to help others, and you can expect with humble expectation, actually, you can anticipate increase blessing in your life. However, abusing those same privileges without question invites the judgment of God. Take notice of what it says in Isaiah chapter 5, verses 22 to 23. Woe to men mighty at drinking wine. Woe to men valiant for mixing intoxicating drink, who justify the wicked for a bribe and take away justice from the righteous man. Now, in his sixth and final woe of Isaiah 5, we've gone through all of them right now. We've read all of the scriptures over these last couple of devotions together. God sends a stern warning concerning the corruption taking place in, of all places, Judah's courts. You know, that was supposed to be a place that was set aside for justice, for honor, for righteousness to be executed. But on the contrary, there was a lot of dishonest work going on by way of those who were put in charge, those who were there to keep the law, those who were there to make sure that the least of these were not mistreated in any way. Sadly, became compromised, and we see how that was. They were abusing their authority, and it was because they were intoxicated with wine, we found out. And so they were abusing their privileges, and they were accepting bribes. And so you had a number of issues that was going on, and God's caution is that judgment was going to come upon those who perverted their authority in the court's justice system. Now, likewise, when we use the favor that God gives us for selfish gains, we too can expect some backlash from heaven. Thus, we must rise above the temptation to cut corners and choose to live rightly before God and others. See, our ability to have character and be consistent with our integrity is a tremendous witness in a world that is obsessed. It's just obsessed with gratification at any cost. If that means getting over on a partner that you've had for years, if that means stepping on a family member to get to the top, if that means compromising your morality, if that means just even breaking the law, as long as you don't get caught, people have no problem doing that today. I mean, it doesn't take really a history major to see that has been a part of our history, our world, and we see it playing out right now. Win at any cost. But there really is a cost when people do that. See, as we are faithful with our position of influence, the opposite is true, isn't it? When we could trust God at that point to add more to the sphere of our responsibility when we're doing the right thing. See, God's promise doesn't only apply, his promise to bring judgment doesn't only apply to those judges and those leaders in the courts, but really it is applicable to people of every generation, of every day as well, that we want to do what is right in the position of where we are. And by the way, no position is too small. Like you don't wait to get, to the top of the mountain to start having integrity. You got to have integrity when you're in the valley and when you're climbing up the top of the mountain. You might think, well, it doesn't matter there. It absolutely does. See, God is watching how you and I treat the responsibilities we have when nobody's looking, when nobody knows our name. That is really what God is looking at. And he's looking to promote people. He's looking to trust people. He's looking to bless. We know that we could trust God. And as I've said before, the bigger question is can God trust me? And can he trust you to serve in his kingdom purposes? Now, a great example is David. David was faithful in his position of being a shepherd. And again, this is before anybody knew that he was going to be, the great king of Israel that he became to be, the valiant warrior that he's known as. He was a shepherd boy first. Now look what it says here in Psalm 78. And starting in verse 70, it says, he chose David. God chose his servant David, calling him from the sheep pens. Notice that. He took David from tending the ewes and the lambs and made him the shepherd of Jacob's descendants, God's own people, Israel. Look at that. From the sheep, to the palace, okay? Check that out. Now, verse 72. He cared for them, that's the sheep, by the way, with the true heart, that means integrity of heart, and led them with skillful hands. Notice how God identifies two areas of David's leadership: his integrity and how he took care of the sheep, and then his competence and how he was able to skillfully look after them and provide for them. Now, if you don't think that God is concerned about your position, wherever you are and whatever you're doing right now, you are sadly mistaken. It's important to God. And you always want to use whatever position you have, whatever influence you have for good, for the goodness of God's kingdom and his plan. And God is tallying up the record. Again, I don't know how that all works, but this much is true. God is watching. He's looking to see how we use our influence. Those judges and leaders in the courts of Judah, they blew it. Again, getting drunk, being intoxicated, taking bribes, doing anything they could to benefit themselves. Well, guess what? There's a price to pay for that. And yes, some of the people were paying the price, I guess, as the victims, but in the big picture, they were going to have to pay the price with God. Now, God is watching you and I. And so the same way he was watching David is the same way he's watching me and you. He's looking to see that we're faithful with the family, on the job, at school, at church. He's looking to see how we handle things. Again, some people, we have this, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow theology, or when the ship rolls in theology. It doesn't work that way. Be faithful where you are right now and don't quit. Realize that is significant. Wherever God has you serving, in front of people, behind the scenes, cleaning bathrooms, it doesn't matter. Going to work each day for your family, taking care of your kids, taking care of your grandkids, and vice versa. Whatever it might be, it's significant if you're doing it unto the Lord. Look what Colossians 3:23 says. Work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord. There's the focus. Always strive to use your influence, wherever it is, for good, for the good of God's kingdom. And if you ever get a little weary in the race, never grow weary of doing what's good. God is watching, and work as you're working unto the Lord. Every opportunity you have before you really is an opportunity to worship, isn't it? You bring God honor with how you work and you serve him. And so may God give us the strength and really the foresight to be people who use this influence that he gives us for his glory and for his honor and to the help of others. And so may God bless you, and may he give us strength to walk in these truths. We'll see you next time.